Recording.
Here we go. Let's get it. Yo. Long as always.
I was off. We were off. That's okay.
You were off.
It's normal. Don't worry about that. This is what she does. We accept it and we love her for it. All right.
Sorry. It's my fault. It's my fault. I'm just going to do the robot from now on. It's done. It's
No
done.
worries. But if this is your first time tuning in, we're a local online news show. We talk about local, national, and international news. And we have a little segment we call personal news, where we talk about personal topics, relationship topics, things of that nature. I am your co-host, Frosty McNuggetts.
And I'm your host with the most, Frosty Oreos.
And I'm Frosty Knowledge, the stiff one.
Right. AKA Team Frosty. This is what we do.
That's right.
Right. We are What's Up People News. So let's get right into it. What you got?
Well, since we're getting right into it, we're going to talk about the news of the day. And actually, the news of the day was we're going to talk about Rayshard Brooks. Let me just back up because, we talked about George Floyd. So unfortunately, there was another death by police brutality last week. I think it was Friday. I think we touched on it on last week's show. Rayshard Brooks was sleeping at a Wendy's drive-through, and the police were called, and it led to his untimely death. For those of you who don't know the facts, I don't want to go back to all the facts, but it's kind of interesting, this case, because, he died. He was shot, but one of the cops, there was only one cop there first. Did you guys know that? Like it ended up with the two cops, and then it was just one cop at first that talked to him and woke him up and had him drive and move his car out of the way, and then asked him if he wanted to, I guess, sleep it off or something. But then he wasn't sure if he should be doing that, so he called his supervisor, that guy, what's his name, Garrett Rolfe,
Yeah.
I think that's his name, and called that guy, and that's when all the issues started to happen. So long story short, they charged both of them, and both of them had to turn themselves in on today. I saw Bosman turn himself in. I'm assuming that Rolfe did too because he had to. I think the ex-officer Rolfe was charged with like 11 things, felony murder, and a whole bunch of felony assaults. Yeah, I think it was a bunch of those. Me and Dave talked about the felony murder because people really don't know what that is, and I didn't know what it is until I looked it up, because I'm like, what's the difference between felony murder and murder one or murder two? But I guess felony murder, as Dave was telling me, encompasses life in prison or death, right?
Oh wow! So you might be getting a chair.
So basically, each state calls it something different.
Is that what it is? Okay.
But each state says it differently. Like in if this happened in Mass, where we are, he would have been charged with a first-degree murder off the top. And then, if it gets broken down to a second, third degree, it just, all of that is the same, but it breaks down, the sentence structure is different.
So it's first degree unintentional and intentional? Because I thought first degree was intentional.
First degree is intentional.
So what?
I'm saying, like, this is what they would call it here.
Okay. Because
sentence structure is different opposed to what they say, because they said felony murder, and they can do he can face life in prison with no parole or the death penalty. Right. So here since we don't have the death penalty, that would be the equivalent of first degree murder. But
it also encompasses intentional and unintentional. So they can't get out on that loophole like he didn't mean to do it, because felony murder encompasses both of those. Like, we don't care if you meant to or you didn't mean to.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
murder.
yeah, it all falls under the same statute.
Right.
It all same statute.
Right. And then he was also charged with a bunch of felony assaults because, you know, a bullet landed in someone else's car. So this fool is running, shooting bullets in a crowded Wendy's drive-through. I mean, come on, man. There's so much wrong. And then another one because they took so long to give this man aid as well.
Not to mention that he stomped on him or he kicked him.
Yeah.
Right, and he kicked him.
Gave him the big boot.
Like a rug, right? So
yeah. So I think I personally at this point in time, I think that it's time for America and its justice system to start making examples out of these people. They are not above the law, and they need to make them. They need to make them be aware of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, charge them with the same thing you would charge me with if I not let alone a cop if I just killed another person on the street. You know what I'm saying? Let them feel the same wrath that I would feel.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, go on.
I was watching earlier today. I watched a little bit of the Joe Rogan podcast because the guest that he had on, I think something in the title was talking about he was talking about the current situation with George Floyd, this, that, and the third.
Rogan, isn't that the guy from
UFC? Yeah, Fear Factor. Yeah, Joe Rogan. Yeah,
he's a racist, right? We can get into that later. He said some savagely racist things about Black people in Africa and the N-word, but yeah, it's all over Twitter. He got dragged all over Twitter. But go on, sorry. And he's a Trump guy now, which is interesting. But
yeah. So I had just go ahead.
No, I said sorry. Go on.
No, so I was just scrolling through YouTube. I seen it, and something in the title had struck me, so I was just started to watch it. And one of the things they were talking about was defunding the police and how the guy that was talking was just saying some wild stuff and just like defunding the police. He was just taking it as how people who want to counter that was just like, oh, all the police are gone.
Right.
He was comparing because he said he was an ex-Marine, so he was doing a lot of comparison from when he was in the military, and I was just like, you can't compare what civilian life is versus what's going on in the war zone. Right. But he was trying to make that correlation to strengthen his argument about how we can't defund the police. We actually have to give them more money. And I was listening to that, and I was like, no, defunding the police doesn't mean getting rid of the police.
Right.
You know, and we talked about this last week.
Right.
It means putting the money or allocating money to places that is better served.
Right.
You know, there have been police chiefs on record who said, yo, we do too much.
Right.
You know, and that's true. Police do too much. You know, we need, again, put money back into mental health awareness and mental health programs and mental health workers.
Please, riddle me this, Batman. How is it that police do too much? I honestly don't think police do enough. I don't know what goes on in every state, but I know in my state, they don't do it.
Well, we mean do too much as in, for instance.
Like they respond to all the major calls. Like,
right. For instance, the woman was just marching. Her son has had a mental illness. She couldn't get him to put down a screwdriver. She called the police. He's dead. Not even minutes when the police came and saw this kid with a screwdriver, they kill him. They kill him. She called to say he has a mental illness. I can't get it away from him. That was here? I don't know if it was mass. I have to look it up because she was just marching somewhere. I have to look, but that's what they mean by do too much. We're calling police for for people who are locked out of their house, like their roommate won't let them in. Like
if this is what I think you're talking about, that would be my kid's grandmother. That would be my kid's uncle. I actually know the family, know him.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. Like I seen this.
Was it here?
I seen that young man grow up from 15, 16 years old to the time of his demise. You know what I'm saying? And it was sad. And I watched him go through what he went through in life with the mental illness. That was a sad thing.
And that's awful. And that happens so much. It's like they're called for reasons. They don't have the training for every issue that they're being called for. I mean, truly, a cat in a tree. Let's call the police. Like it's like what?
No.
All right, so you know I like to play devil's advocate. I'm sorry. You know I like to play devil's advocate. At the same time, when these things happen, we as a people got to know our resources, because you don't have to call 911 for everything, especially if you know somebody or have somebody in your home or in your family that has mental illness. That's what the best team is for.
But you know what? Oh, go on. Now, I was going to say that's what they were talking about with the reallocating of funds. They were going to have a system set up so that when you're calling 911 for like non-emergency, then it's set up to go here for like, I don't know, a mental illness call, or here. They're using that for that, to make sure that it's being filtered to the right source. Because we're not going to keep track of all those numbers. Like, well, who do I call? She didn't know. Everyone just calls the cops for everything.
Right.
No, I mean, but they were.
In most cases, they're not. When it comes to us, that's the wrong call. That's the bad call. You know what I mean? So we have to be. It takes us as a people to have to be aware of what's around us. Now, this isn't something new. And please don't think that I'm justifying the police in this matter, because I am not. What I am emphasizing is, you know, in situations, if you know that your child or your loved one or your husband or your, you know, whatever has a mental health issue, you need to be aware of who else to call besides 911, especially if you're a person of color. You know what I mean? We have to start relying on other people to save things for us. We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, but the problem is there's no source for that right now. There's absolutely no source where you can call if your kid is having a breakdown. Who are you calling? There's no one to call. Where?
The best for Mass, I don't know about all the other states, but the best team is open 24 hours a day.
But who knows?
Call their office.
I definitely don't know what that is.
You call their office and they will send somebody out to come help assess the problem. Now, they may come with a paramedic, or they may come to your house and wait outside for a paramedic or an officer or someone from the fire department to show up. But believe that when they do show up, they are going to address whoever is having the breakdown before the police or anybody else will.
But why can't we call one number and then they connect you, because they have an operator who can listen to what you're saying, this is the problem, and then they can determine like, okay, this is a job for the best team, so let me patch you into them. Like, we need a main source that's given that, so people don't have, you know, all these numbers that they're trying to keep track of. We need a main source so that operator can make that decision where it needs to go. Like, that's where the reallocation is. So we're just talking about one thing. We're talking about mental illness. There's a whole bunch of things.
Okay, so riddle me this, Batman. Okay,
devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. Because I want to, like you said, I wanted to be in that spectrum where everybody looks at everything, right? So you're saying there should be one number where one person is allocated to make a determination.
Listen,
what if that person makes the bad call?
Listen, okay, you're taking it verbatim, and I'm not saying anything verbatim because I don't have a cure, right? I don't have, but I'm just telling you what they're saying, what they've been saying with reallocation, that's something that they had tossed into the mix, like having some type of centralized number where you're calling and they can dispatch you wherever you need to go. I mean, when you call 911, the operator is trying to determine whether your call is an emergency or not. They ask you a myriad of questions. So
Facts. Facts. Listen, I'm gonna give you a prime example. Me and the wife was sitting on the couch watching movies one night, right? Outside the window, all you hear is boom. You hear a kid screaming, right? Little boy got hit on a scooter, right? Everybody's outside recording them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, why ain't nobody calling the police or somebody calling the ambulance? Like the boy was like thriving in pain on the floor. So I ran in the house, I grabbed my phone, I called 911, right? So I'm calling 911. I'm like, yes, this is where I'm at. A young man just got hit on a scooter by a bike. He's in a lot of pain. Okay, where are you? Okay, I started off the whole conversation with, this is where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, send this boy an ambulance. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just send him something.
What color are your eyes?
Right? Like, what color is the scooter? What color is the car that hit him? Like, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? There's a little boy, well, not a little boy, but there's a young man on the floor thriving in pain. Send him an ambulance.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't know, man. But I'm sorry. We jumped all around.
Yeah, what were you saying, Frosty McNugget?
No, because you know how I feel. You know, I feel real adamant about these things because, you know, not only do I see it on TV, but it has hit home because I've dealt with it personally. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, for my reasons, I don't go out and march with the family. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother story. But the night that happened, you know, I get a frantic call from my kids that their uncle has just been shot, and I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I have my 1-2, and I'm doing 100 miles an hour in the city. Like, hold on, man, make sure my kids are straight. But come to find out, you know what I'm saying, their uncle's on their way to the hospital, you know what I'm saying, and he passed away. It touched home, so I felt it personally. I feel it personally. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, having that, this is just me. I think having that one centralized number and hoping that the person on the other end makes the right call to the right people is just something that I wouldn't want to have to do.
I don't think it's going to be that unsophisticated. I mean, that's just me. I think that would be very unsophisticated. I think it's bigger than what we know. I can't call it because that's not my job to come up with that, but I know that that is what they were talking about because we're in agreement, all of us, that needs to happen, right? Like, police should not be called for everything. You know, roommates are fighting and someone can't get their stuff out of their room because the roommate locked the door. Like, it's just ridiculous they're being called for. What do you say, Frosty McNugget there?
No, I mean, that's one of the things I was actually going to say is that they are looking at that idea of, you know, you already called 911, rather than just, you know, connecting you with the police officer. You know, they would connect you with the organization or whoever is able to handle, you know, that particular phone call. I don't think it's gonna be something that is, I mean, it's something that could happen, not necessarily overnight, but within a pretty decent amount of time. But again, that comes with funding and making sure that you have the people who can respond to these calls on the ready.
Right.
You know, whether someone's calling, like you with the example, the unfortunate event of Brother Oreo's family, and, you know, the person having a mental issue. You know, again, kind of like what Brother Oreo said, you know, we can't really speak on what goes on in other states. And I personally advocate, me and Brother always advocate for mental health awareness. And, you know, if you can call like the best team, or you know, there are different numbers that you can call for different areas, to where you can get services. We actually talked about that on our last mental health series. But yeah, just you know, I definitely see what Brother Oreo's talking about, where you have just that one person, and you know, they asking you mad questions, and you are getting to the meat of the issue, whether or not they can connect you with the right person. Honestly, that also comes with training and
Right.
and whatnot. But hopefully, we just got to get the message out there about what defund the police means.
Right.
You know, because that just defund in general, when you hear that word, especially with the connotation of, you know, defunding child parenthood, or you know, defunding, you know, these social welfare programs that help people who are in dire straits. When you hear defund, you automatically think of trying to get rid of, because that's what, you know, the people on the right have been trying to do for years. And with this particular person in office, you know, they're trying to cut Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, you know, healthcare. They're trying to defund Obamacare. And when you hear the word defund, and then you hear the president come out like, yeah, we're getting rid of Obamacare, this, that, and the third, it's only right that you automatically think of it's getting rid of.
Right.
You know, but that's not what that means. And you know, just having people that's able to keep the narrative on the right track, and not let it get hijacked by, oh, it means getting rid of police, and when you call, ain't nobody gonna show up, and it's just gonna be straight anarchy. Nah, that's not what it means. But I definitely feel what Brother Oreo is saying, as far as just wanting to have that person on the other end, you know, capable of giving you assistance and making sure that whatever issue that you have, they're going to connect you with the person that's able to better help.
Right.
You know, and so, but again, that also comes with training and getting money, allocating it to where is needed the most.
Right. Right. Get that money out the police department. That's corrupt anyways. Been corrupt for a long time. You think about it. Like, what do they do with that money from
who
those
are
drug
power
busts?
hungry?
What do they do with that money from those drug busts?
They use it to buy their house in Florida.
Yeah. Those cars that they take from, like, you know, Rico. What happens to that stuff?
Well, two things happen with those. One, they put them back on the streets and use them as undercover cars, and then they send them to an auction to be sold.
And sometimes they keep them for themselves.
Okay.
I know a detective who has a nice little situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay. So would you have for us today, brother Oreo? I know you had something that you wanted to do specifically.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes. So it's actually two things on the, you know, it's two things. One is the police officers in Atlanta actually did a walkout. They said that they would not. They said that because of, you know, those officers being charged, they said that they would not respond to any other calls but those of police needing assistance, other officers needing assistance. Meaning,
is that good or bad?
That's a bad thing. Because if you was in Atlanta and you got shot in the streets, nobody's coming to save you. You know what I'm saying? That's a bad.
And that seems like that's a derelict of duty. Like, that literally seems like they could be kicked off of the force for that, because now you're in dereliction of duty. Like, what was you took an oath. This is like a surgeon's like, I'm pissed off today, I'm not doing any surgeries, unschedule that heart surgery, like a triple bypass, I'm done. Like, what? What?
The other thing that I had, what do we? You know what? I have this. I might save this for the closing. What are we looking like for time?
I think you got about 8 minutes.
So I think I should.
I'm not gonna tell our viewers that I forgot to put the time on for like 10 minutes. It's like, oh, so I'm thinking.
Hold on, do y'all have anything to say before I begin my closing?
No, close on.
Nope, the floor is yours, brother.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I'm gonna say is, and me and Frosty Knowledge touched down on this. We want to let the people know that, you know, we are and we do advocate and support Black businesses. I just joined a group on Facebook about Black businesses and Black business owners. You know, we do support. You know, I'm gonna keep doing my research on the products that, you know, a lot of you guys have out there, and I will pay for and will buy, and we all will here. I just want to let you guys know that. The second thing in my closing is, you know, it's all about the Black Lives Matter and this whole movement right now. But I got a quote from like one of the people that I dislike the most. That would be Michael Jordan. This is his quote verbatim. He says, "I see and feel everyone's pain, outrage, and frustration. I stand with those who are calling out the ingrained racism and violence towards people of color in our community. We have had enough." So the reason why, you know, I have a big problem with this quote is because, one, you know, Michael Jordan has money tied up in the privatization of prisons and private prisons. He has, so, you know, he's basically getting paid off of the, you know, blood, sweat, and tears in the back of, you know, people of color, Black and brown. You know, that's a problem for me. Second thing is, you know, his shoes are a lot of reasons why there's crime and stuff in the communities as is. You know what I'm saying? I feel as though he doesn't do enough for the urban communities. You know what I mean? Like, and he's breaking people's pockets. People don't have, let me back up a little bit. People don't have their morals or their their priorities straight, because they rather go pay $250 for the Retro 4s opposed to paying that $200 on their light bill, their cable bill, their rent, whatever. People are being kicked out, but they got on a brand new pair of Jordan. Nah, that just doesn't sit well with me. That's why I don't rock Nike. That's why I don't rock none of that stuff. Second thing is, or not the second thing, the third thing is, in my closing, is the whole Black Lives Matter movement, period. So we have all of these things called All Lives Matter. Then you got these people that saying Blue Lives Matter. So this is my rebuttal to those movements. For the All Lives Matter, no lives matter until Black Lives Matter as well. Simple and plain. Second thing is Blue Lives Matter. Nah, you made a choice to become a cop. We were born the way that we are. We can't stop being Black, but you can stop being a cop. So if you get killed or hurt in the line of duty, that's an occupational hazard. You chose to do this. You chose to protect and serve. So no, blue lives don't matter. This is what you chose to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got for the people. You know, if you guys want to chime in on anything that I said, if you guys have any quick rebuttals to it, you know.
Well, I don't have a quick rebuttal. I just want to say all Black lives matter, because I think that kind of gets lost in it. And it's just been a whole Twitter day about, you know, when we say Black lives, we don't talk about like Black trans lives, because there were a couple that were lost, I think, last week as well. I mean, they're being brutalized by police as well. And we kind of forget those portions of, you know, Black people. They do exist.
So, okay, here's my rebuttal to that.
Okay.
Whether they're trans, you know, just gay or whatever it is, at the end of the day, no matter what their sexual preference is, they're still Black.
Right, but people separate them out and no one pays attention to them. Again, because they were murdered, I think last week. I'm guilty because I don't even know their names, right? And that's pretty bad because we really don't pay attention in that community, but they are a part of the Black community, but we're not giving them the attention. So it's almost like they're excluded from Black Lives Matter. And almost women too. And that's a whole nother thing because I did watch Dave Chappelle, loved it, but he didn't mention the Black women that have been murdered either, right? And so all lives, all Black lives matter. That's what I want to say. The Sandra Blands, the Breonna Taylors, we have to mention all. And I know Black men are out here just being brutalized, and it's almost like you guys are a dying species, and I get it. And Black women are right in the forefront and protesting and just there. But we also have to remember, you know, Black women are dying too. So, and that's just as a Black woman.
Roger that.
Anything? We must have a little more time. Come on, Frosty Nugget.
I mean, no, I don't have anything else to say that again.
So you have time to do a closing. Look at that. Any rebuttal, vote?
No, I'm gonna say I did have something to talk about, but we're pressed for time.
Okay.
But I do want to shout out everybody out there. Please keep supporting us. If you have any issues or any topics that you would like us to discuss, please leave a comment. Go on our Facebook page. You can shoot me an email at 3mindsproduction.com or 3mindsproduction@gmail.com. So yeah, let us know if there's issues. And specifically everybody out there in Brockton, if you got any issues or topics or things that matter to you that you're not hearing about on mainstream media or news or any other places you get your information from, please hit us up. Hit me, Brother Oreo, Miss Knowledge. We're here. You can find us on Facebook. Again, you can find us on our Facebook page, 323 Productions LLC. But yeah, that's, also like, share, subscribe, all of that. We want to be YouTube's next 1,000 sub channel. We're getting there. Our goal, we're right now at 366. We got a little under 700 more subs to go. So please help us reach our goal of 1,000 subs. We're trying to get to the next level. And we can't get there without you guys' help. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit us up on Facebook. We'll hit you back. We're easy to get in touch with, and we're for the people. We want to make sure that we're bringing you the information and news that matters to you, and give you our perspective while we do that. So yeah, that's what I got to say.
Yeah. It's a wrap?
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap,
That's a
guys.
wrap.
Have a good night, everyone.
Well, have a good night. I'm Frosty McNuggetts.
And I'm Frosty Oreos.
Frosty Knowledge. You thought I forgot. Bye.
Yo, peace. See y'all next week.